It is Wednesday. Hard to believe, September 11th,
Old
2025.
coffee cups. I don't even know where the internet is. Has anyone seen anything around here?
Bim bam. I don't know. Brendan, I know this much. The internet gremlins are real. Will told me about them last night. And Will, our prayers are with you, man. You have been through hell in the last month. I'm glad you're recovering. And you're one of the best guys we bring on this show. And you know what? I'm glad you're here. And we're going to talk some South Carolina football, whatever else is on your mind. Do us a favor, everybody. Take a picture with your cellular phone of that QR code. We're live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. And we got executive producer Brendan Martin, who has no equal in the Western world or anywhere, putting reels out nonstop. We got 8 shows on this channel. You want to be a sponsor? Contact us. We broke 100,000 on a show 2 weeks ago. We're working. The only easy day was yesterday. And Will, you're over in Columbia, South Carolina, undefeated. Nothing kills momentum more quickly than a horse running on the field in the middle of the game or a rain delay. So, I mean, throw it out the window what happened the other night against South Carolina State. But talk about the Gamecocks up to this point. And here we are. This is the football world we live in, and I love it. Showdown with Vanderbilt Saturday in Columbia.
Yeah, tickets are
This is unreal.
for a Vanderbilt South Carolina game. Tickets are through the roof. They're like $250 or $300. I'm confused. I'm wondering what world I'm living in right now. When people around here, I remember in 2011, I think Georgia came to town and it was like number 5 versus number 7, and South Carolina thumped them 35-7. And tickets, people wanted tickets for like $400 or $500, and now here we are in 2025, and Vanderbilt's coming to town, and tickets are through the roof, and it's going to be an interesting game. It's really right now here. It's there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of tension here because South Carolina has done. They've been the complete opposite of what everybody expected. We thought the defense would struggle after replacing 5 draft picks, and the defense has given up 1 touchdown so far this season. It's played really well. The emergence of Fred J.R. Johnson at the linebacker position and several other players who've really stepped up has been a pleasant surprise. But on the flip side of that, the offense has been abysmal. The 3 of us could go and put together an offense that's better, and that's been a huge surprise. And so there's a lot of tension this weekend because South Carolina comes into this game. You know, you're supposed to beat Vanderbilt. Doesn't matter who they are, or what they've got, or they're a much better program, obviously, but there's still going to be that tag that comes with losing to Vanderbilt. And I think to get the spread as of last night, I think we're still around 5.5, depending on where you want to look. But it's certainly a game that's going to be a lot of fun. It's supposed to be you mentioned the rain delay last week. I didn't go, and I'm glad I didn't go. I avoided a mess. But it is supposed to be an absolutely mayors, governors type day around here on Saturday. It's going to be in the mid to low 80s with low humidity. It's going to be beautiful tailgating weather. It's going to be a great evening. It's going to be a little bit later start for the game. So it's going to be an environment. I mean, I wasn't there Saturday, but I've seen the videos of the student section who apparently got inebriated and didn't mind the rain, didn't mind all the mess that was made. So it's going to be and then you get Diego Pavia coming to town. And I think yesterday, one of the offensive linemen guaranteed victory. It's going to be a wild event with Vanderbilt rolling into town on Friday and the game on Saturday.
It will. Got to ask you, see about 8 fishing rods behind you. Saltwater, freshwater, what are you fishing for?
Those are the freshwater. The lake is just on the other side of the door right there. So those are freshwater, and I haven't fished in about a month and a half, 2 months, but just glancing, I see the bobbers on a few of them. So it looks like my boy had gotten a hold of a couple of them, and maybe him and his friends were out back trying to go for some brim and crappie and maybe a catfish or 2.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. That skip work, go fishing. That's what my wife's T-shirt says. That's got it at Hewlett and Dunn. All right, you're talking about. I think South Carolina lost 8 of their top 11 tacklers from last year. And again, talk about your defensive coordinator and the staff they have.
It had been an up and down, really 3 years, I thought, for Clayton White. And then last year, that defense really kind of came out of nowhere. You had the emergence of Demetrius Knight, who's now with the Cincinnati Bengals. Kyle Kennard was a transfer portal guy from Georgia Tech who goes on to win the Nagurski Award. Obviously, Dylan Stewart comes in as a freshman and earns all kind of all freshman honors. Nick Eamon-Wari is a physical freak and was drafted in the second round by the Seattle Seahawks. And his emergence last year, he kind of had a down second year. But I say that because I think there was a lot of questions about Clayton White going into last year and in the way they performed, especially kind of down the stretch, holding Clemson to 14 points and that victory up there. And kind of was a physical defense. That was something we had not seen. Kind of harkened back to the days of Ellis Johnson and Steve Spurrier, and the defense that was led by DJ Swearinger when they called him the Goon Squad.
Yeah.
And what you ended up getting there was a defense, I think, that was that brought back memories. That South Carolina's kind of always based. To me, South Carolina football is based on defense. Their best days, you go back into the 80s when they had a little run, was based on defense. They were known as the Fire Ant defense with Joe Lee Dunn, blitzed a lot. The few years Lou Holtz was here and really had it going. It was defense oriented with some really good players. And then, quite frankly, Steve Spurrier's best years were defense oriented. So, to see them reemerge last year, I think made a lot of people happy. As we just mentioned, you win the opener 24-8. 24-11. They give up 8 points defense, or 9 points, gave up a safety offensively. And then last week, gave up a bad drive kind of to start the game, gave up a field goal, and then really took the game over and kind of did what they wanted to.
Well, the defense, again, rising up. So on the offensive side, Lenora Sellers, we know everybody gets this preseason hype. They all do. You think maybe it's just taking him a few games to adjust to being in the spotlight? Not that he wasn't last year, but ever since he ran up the gut against Clemson, his life has not been the same.
No, it hasn't. And I don't know. I don't think it's as simple as saying it's him. There's a lot of questionable play, very vanilla, very questionable play calls with Mike Shula. The offensive line has been beyond atrocious, and that's hard to explain. And I do think you're right. I don't think Lenore Sellers has looked comfortable. I don't know if this is a matter of him thinking he needs to be more of a pocket passer and not a freelance guy. I don't know if this is overcoaching. There was a great segment on I think it was ESPN, and I can't exactly remember the quarterback who was doing it, but they were talking about Jaden Daniels in year 2.
Yeah.
And how year 1, you just kind of let your quarterback go play. And the quarterback plays the style that he's grown up playing. But in the offseason, coaches tend to overcoach and put too much into a player's mind. And I honestly wonder if that's the case with Lenora Sellers, because he doesn't look comfortable. His passes are off. His footwork looks off. He doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. Again, the offensive line has been porous. He's been hit multiple times. They've almost given up 2 safeties. They gave up the one to Virginia Tech and nearly gave up a second in the South Carolina State game. So I don't think it's as simple as just one answer and saying, well, he's not comfortable. I think there's a lot that goes there that's got to be answered, and it's got to be answered here on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it was on with Lauren Meadows last night, Lowdown with Lauren Meadows, and he was talking about DJ Lagway. People say it is shoulder, it's footwork. I mean, the shoulder and the feet are connected to your body, but the offensive line for Florida is supposed to be one of the best in the country. Every player had a penalty, the starting 5 last week in that loss to South Florida. It's similar situation. You're going into game 3. It's pretty much who you are. Question is, what do you got to do to beat Vanderbilt? Because again, Clark Lee, we know he can coach defense, but bringing in Jerry Kill from New Mexico State and Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers at tight end, Vanderbilt fans are starting to get pissed off when they lose. Now, they hadn't lost yet this year. That's a different mentality. $250 tickets for Vanderbilt coming to town. I mean, what world are we living in?
Yeah, we're trying to figure that. I'm trying to figure that out every day right now. Again, The offense has got to be fixed. They've got to score. There's an odd stat. South Carolina scored offensively. South Carolina scored 17 points exactly in the last 3 games: 17 against Clemson, 17 against Illinois, and 17 offensive points. Remember, there was a lot of special teams touchdowns last week, even though they scored 38 total. But the offense put up 17 points. That's got to be fixed. It's going to be a fun environment. No offense to Vanderbilt, it's going to be nothing like they've walked into. You think back last year, they got Texas at home. They played Alabama and beat Alabama in Nashville. Auburn was a shell of itself when they went there. Virginia Tech is kind of a shell of what it's supposed to be in a night game right now. This is going to be an environment Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt's never walked into. There's going to these people around here are crazy right now. I wasn't down there. I heard about the tailgates this past weekend that were taking place around the stadium. It's going to be even though it's week 3, and I'm not saying that either team is a playoff team, so don't take it wrong, but it's going to be that kind of environment where it's insane. And it's South Carolina, it's Vanderbilt. I think I kind of remember back in like 07 or 08, it was South Carolina, Kentucky. It was like a top 10 showdown on a Thursday night. Kentucky had Andre Woodson. And I remember thinking, what are these two teams doing in the top 10? And look, South Carolina wants to keep their top 10 ranking. They want to get to LSU. You got to go through Missouri next and Kentucky, but they want to get to LSU. And people already around here, even though it wouldn't be here in Columbia, South Carolina, people here are already looking ahead, thinking if they can win, maybe you get ESPN Game Day in Columbia, Missouri for that showdown. So there's a lot on the line, and people are very, very fired up for this game.
Yeah, I know we were a couple of minutes behind getting started. So Jake Wimberly, ESPN 105.9, The Afternoon Drive in Jackson, Mississippi, is going to join us. So if you can stay on, Will, at least
I gotta go.
A few more.
I got it. Today is my daughter's. Y'all ever had this? Today is daughter's sweet 16 birthday party, and I got a doctor's appointment coming up here in about 45 minutes to an hour. I got to hit that, and boy, oh boy, I got to go deal with a 16-year-old. So it's a day, man.
It is. And look, this is cool. Great reporting, and we'll do it again next week. But I love this. This doing this show. It's like I got 16 kids and can't be partial to any of them. But let people know how they can follow you. Glad to see you back on the road to recovery.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just at Twitter at Wil Wil Gunter Guntr, and I will. I've not been on the radio since August 1st. I think due to some health issues that have come out of nowhere. I do encourage. I will take a second real quick to say, if you're ever feeling bad, don't be a guy. Don't be tough and think something's not going on and try and fight through it. I've learned a very hard way. For the people that don't know, I thought I had COVID on August 4th, and turned out I had double pneumonia, and both kidneys had failed. And learned the hard way. Spent a lot of time in August in the hospital. So if you ever feel bad, don't be a guy and think you can just push through it and that you're tough and mean. Man, go get yourself checked out, because the doctors have said if I didn't show up at urgent care on August 4th, I wouldn't be here with y'all right now. So I'll take a minute to just say, go. If something's wrong, don't sit there and play around with it. Go find out. But I'll be back either maybe next week on Monday, or the following week. I'm kind of having to get a little bit of clearance. I've never had to get clearance to go back and do a radio show. Apparently, they think I'm lifting weights in there or something while I'm doing the show and not sitting on a chair talking. But guys, I appreciate it, man. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Ditto, man.
Get better, man. Glad you're here. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a force of good. Take care.
All right,
y'all take care.
Have a good time at your daughter's birthday. It's a sweet 16 today, buddy.
Yeah. Wants a car. Doesn't understand Dad's got medical bills right now. We got some issues. So.
Oh, that's all right. You get to be there. That's the most important thing, Will. So
that's right.
God bless
that's
you.
Right.
All right.
Y'all take care.
You too. I tell you what, he is one of the good, as they say in the country, Jake. He's a good one. He's a good egg. And by the way, Jake, I've watched all the stuff. I like to keep track. I've been to 37 football games at Davis Wade Stadium, Scott Field, in Starkville, Mississippi. I love it down there. I got a lot of Mississippi State friends. Alan Callicott, mayor of Senatobia for a long time. Stan Jones. I mean, Jan Gwynn is at the Touchdown Club with us Monday night. They are loyal beyond. I mean, they are as loyal as a parent is to their child. And I heard the comments, there's no place to stay. You think I hadn't heard that from Auburn, and Brendan hadn't heard that from Gainesville? These are college towns in the South. You know what? Some of the best memories of my life were pulling up in a bus with the Auburn Club, 47 of us packed in there, drinking some road sodas and having the barbecue brought out from Little Dewey's Barbecue. And how nice. I mean, they want to beat you, but that's a damn good school with an awesome fan base. And basically, it's the people in Mississippi. I love that state. My grandparents are from the Delta. I love it, and I'm proud of Mississippi State. I'm happy for them getting that win the other night, and I'm sure they don't mind paying that fine, because when you got a president like Dr. Keenum, whose number is in the phone book if you want to call him, those are, as they say in the country, good people. How you doing? I had to get that off the chest.
Wow. That was a record, dude. Calm down, bro. You take gummies at night. Calm down.
Yeah.
God. I was like, we're going to want to put a clock up there for you next time, Jake. How are you, Jake?
I'm good, guys. No, hey, look, it was a big win. It was a big win. And you're right. I mean, it's regardless of whatever college town you go to, if you're trying to get rooms right now, they're just all crazy. Yeah. I mean, absolutely crazy. I mean, to the point where I'll give you a great story real quick. I won't go as long as Rod did, Brandon, but we've got to go down to LSU in Baton Rouge a couple weeks here in a couple weeks for a cheer competition for my oldest daughter. We luckily got rooms like months and months ago. Why they scheduled a cheer competition in Baton Rouge on the same day as LSU, but now parents are whining because they can't find rooms. Anyway, all of that to say, come back and hear, to start. Well, what a game Saturday night. I mean, look, Mississippi State with a goal line stand. They were up big. They let Arizona State come back in the game. And then look, Blake Shapen, one of the things that we see now, he is not bad. I mean, he is pretty darn good. I mean, look, is he elite? No. Is he the best in the SEC? No. But he fits what Jeff Lebby wants to do. They've got some receivers that can run. This is still a work in progress, though. There's a long way to go, but that's a good step forward Saturday. Did you think coming into this season that the players they brought in via the portal would be this much of an upgrade this fast? You would hope so, right? I mean, just because that team last year was so bad. And the fact that, defensively, again, you go back to the sack number, 10 sacks last year for the team. That's it. I mean, they couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. They couldn't tackle. I mean, it was a bad mix. So, yeah, I mean, look, they have really upgraded the talent level. We'll see here in a couple of weeks. I mean, look, they should get the next two. You figure, nothing's a gimme, but Alcorn State coming in this weekend, Northern Illinois, in 2 weeks. And then, if they can get to 4-0, they'll host Tennessee, and boy, that place will be electric in 3 weeks. Well, the defense, talk about changes they made and some of the new faces. Well, I think, if you look at it, I mean, one of the things, and I go back to some of the guys that report on this daily in Starkville, is they just look like a Southeastern Conference football team. I mean, you just go across the board. Their defensive front is really, really, is athletic. I mean, athletic as regards to, they look like a Southeastern Conference team. Yeah. Linebackers can run, the defensive backs can run, and you go over here and look already this year, we're a couple games in and Mississippi State's already got 3 sacks. So, I mean, you're a third of the way to what you had last year. Wil Witten's already got a couple sacks. He is a senior defensive lineman that, played his football last year at Coastal Carolina. So, I mean, he is a guy that, has made an immediate impact. If you look, as far as overall defense, I mean, Isaac Smith leads that defense, but you got, Nick Mitchell's a senior linebacker that's really done some good things. And then you look at the secondary. I mean, look, the secondary is making plays. I mean, already 3 interceptions this year. They only had 7 last year. So they've already, almost halfway to that. And then you look on the offensive side. I mean, the receivers, Brendan Thompson and Anthony Evans, those 2 guys are big time players from programs, Oklahoma and Georgia, that have come in. And we don't see that a lot, where guys leave a Georgia and Oklahoma and then come somewhere like Mississippi State and flourish, but they're doing it. So they're getting some rewards off of a lot of these guys. Anthony Evans, that receiver, is going to break a lot of hearts this year. He is super fast, really good hands, elusive, everything you want. Jeff Lebby, before we go on to some other things, offensive lineman, Art Brow's son-in-law. What did people expect him to do last year with the hand he was dealt? I'm not saying it's okay to be 2-10, but I mean, he had nothing. I hate to say it, almost nothing. Yeah, I mean, he did. He had nothing. Now, there was the moments in you. I think it's not necessarily how many you lose; it's how you lose. And I think last year everybody goes back to that Toledo loss. And the fact that, look, Toledo is a really good MAC team. We know that. I mean, Toledo has won some ball games and put some people in some some precarious situations on Saturdays. They put Kentucky in one a couple weeks ago, and Kentucky ended up pulling away. But I think the way for Toledo to come in there last year and just really run Mississippi State out of their own building, that was a wake up call of how bad this football team is. Again, right now everything is kind of trending in the right direction. They just need to continue to trend up.
All right, you're great with numbers.
I would like to say before we go on, Jake, that I told this show a couple months ago, and everyone told me that I was a little crazy. I said, watch out for Mississippi State this year. Yeah. They're going to be a good football team, and they're my dark horse to be good in the SEC because ChatGPT told me that. And so then I said that.
But Brendan, you also he tries to act like he knows a lot. I mean, he studies this stuff analytically like you do.
My AI does.
Yeah.
I do
well, but Brendan
AI does everything.
Brendan's been to a game or two.
I'm not even real.
Yeah. Get out of here. All right, but look, the thing is, Brendan was right. You listen to Jeff Lebby, and you watch him wherever he's been. Yeah. He's produced positive results.
Yeah, I really like Jeff Lebby. I'm kidding, but I've always been a huge fan of him as a coach.
Yeah.
If people don't understand, if coaching doesn't matter, and I don't mean to derail the conversation, but Jake's one of my favorite guests, is that it look at what happened at Florida this weekend, and you tell me that coaching doesn't matter because coaching matters, because coaching motivates and coaching gets guys to go. You had a flat Florida Gator team that hurt the bed on Saturday, so it matters. So I've always just thought that Jeff Lebby was just something special, and look at the product that's happening. So it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm glad to see. Kind of always liked them.
Yeah, and Jake, that program. Your head coach, they pay him that money for a lot of reasons, but then you got to have a great staff. Chad Bumpus was up here at the Touchdown Club in Memphis last year. I mean, come on. That guy, you talk about a recruiter, a coach. You like this staff?
I do. At least what we see today, look, Bump is really good, just what you said. I mean, the guy he knows football. I mean, he's a Mississippi State guy. Who knows where his career will take him, but he's a really good football coach and recruiter. So, yeah, I mean, I like the staff. I think the staff there has been some upgrades there. There's a lot of positive energy, and, you need to see some of that energy. And kind of back to Brendan's point about Florida on Saturday, you didn't really see that. I mean, and you would have to think, and I'm not saying the coaches didn't do this at Florida, but I was really kind of when South Florida took Boise out the way they did week one. I thought, man, that's impressive. I mean, Boise's not the Boise of last year, but just to unravel Boise, I thought, don't sleep on South Florida if you're Florida, because look, the number was way big in Vegas. I think it was 18.5.
Yep.
I told people, I said, look, I'm not saying Florida's going to lose the game, but I think South Florida could keep it in the number. And to see them hang around the way that they did and ultimately win that football game, I thought, I think we all knew this is Billy Napier trouble coming right here.
Yeah, and just stuff that you've seen the previous 3 years resurfacing, that's not good. All right, got to ask you about Missouri. They're going up to 80,000 at Fayetteville Field in Missouri. I think they're not paying attention. Dudley Dawson's on here with us now. We got a great panel of some really smart people.
Live from Boulder, Colorado. Dudley,
oh my God, that's
the Flatirons.
Yeah, that looks like Hardy, Arkansas, but it's not. It looks like Glacier National Park, but it might be. But Jake, you got to think about Missouri. Dudley, I'm proposing a Western Bureau of the SEC network. You cannot put it in Dallas because we know what would happen.
In Denver, dude. That's where I'm from, dude.
Western Bureau. But how about Little Rock?
My DNA right here.
Well, how about Little Rock? And we put it in Little Rock. Have Wes Moore, 103.7 The Buzz. He's going into that digital world, and Dudley. But we need a Western Bureau, Jake, because Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Arkansas, they don't get ignored, but they don't always get the attention they deserve. Jake, tell me about Missouri. What is it about Drinkwitz? The guy can coach.
He can coach. There is no doubt about it. And you look at, their new quarterback, and I'll call him Pribula. How do we pronounce this guy's name, by the way?
Anybody? Dudley?
Dudley, how do you pronounce his name?
Dudley, you're muted. You're muted, Dudley.
I can't say, the words I understand, much less I'm going to say the new guy who's playing well.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's playing really well. I mean, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, you look at the run game. I mean, Ahmad Hardy, I think he is what we thought, which is very, very good as a running back. So they're going to be a team, that's going to be in a lot of ball games. And the way they took care of Kansas, the old Big 12 showdown there, 42-31, they'll get to 3-0. You would think this weekend against Louisiana, formerly Lafayette, and then we'll see what they do. With South Carolina. And look, their schedule is, as we know, is not as hard as some of the others in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, South Carolina, they host Alabama. Their road games, of course, Auburn and Vanderbilt look to be in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Those are really tough road games. So I had them around a 7-5 football team this year. They may be a little better. It's going to be interesting to see as we move through these weeks. I think there's a lot of teams that can beat a lot of teams in the SEC, and let's just hope that the league doesn't tear each other apart here.
Well, the running back 1-2 punch they have with Roberts and Ahmad Hardy, you don't see that very often, Jake. I mean, it is, and I know we'll keep you a few more minutes before we got a little bit of a late start because of me today, but I'm going to tell you something. When you got a 1-2 punch, Dave Bartu said on the show Monday, if you are run heavy, what was it, Brendan? You'll win 17% more of your games as opposed to being pass heavy. And Jake, looking at numbers, leave us here the last couple of minutes before you go. Tell us some stories and some trend lines that you're following that people aren't talking about that they better be paying attention to, and tag out with how you can be followed because you are one of the elite.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, some of the things I'm following, I want to continue to see John Mateer and what he does at Oklahoma. And, does his numbers continue to trend upwards? I mean, he looked really, really good against Michigan. And, our buddy there, Vince, how are you, sir? I want to see if Joey Aguilar continues to be the steal of this year. I mean, for Tennessee, when you look at what Nico is doing out in UCLA, that thing is not trending well for him. So, and then Alabama, I want to see Alabama this weekend. I mean, can they really, get this thing going back in the right direction against a Wisconsin team that's pretty darn scrappy? And then, hey, for Arkansas and Dudley, I mean, I think they've got a great shot this weekend in Oxford. Ole Miss, they better pack a lunch. I mean, we know that game could be a 4-quarter ball game. So there's a lot of great intrigue coming up this weekend. Hey, grab me on X at Jake Wim, guys. I appreciate it as always.
Hey, look, we'll do it again next week. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, I'm going to go back, Vince. When Roman Harper this summer, thing he saw, he goes, I watch tape. That's all I do in the summer. And he's got 4 young children too, but he watches a lot of tape. Aguilar's turnovers, he didn't like that. But, he knows, we all know Josh Heupel is one of the best quarterback coaches in the country, Vince. Joey Aguilar has a interesting story for sure. He almost became a fireman. He almost just got out of football. He persevered, and he came into Tennessee, had to earn the respect of everybody on the Hill, and he seems to be doing that. And when you go in the locker room, is there any question that he's the leader of this team? And I tell you what, I have a lot of respect for Josh Heupel and that team too. Boo Carter had to work his way back on through the leadership council. We need more of that. The power T, Vince.
Absolutely great to be on with you fine gentlemen once again here on this Wednesday. And you're right about Joey Aguilar. It's not, I wouldn't even say, you're right in your description, Rob, but he is definitely won over his teammates in the locker room. And that happened pretty quickly. Yeah. I asked Kelsey Pope yesterday to describe and shed some light into the relationship between Joey. He's the wide receivers coach. So I said, describe and shed some light into the relationship between Joey Aguilar and those wide receivers, because that's a big deal. And that element of this team was the biggest question. Will they get out of the quarterback play? What about the young receivers? How does the passing game? Would he get back to the old days of being able to throw the deep shot? Yeah. And he said, man, it's been unbelievable. And he said that Joey Aguilar is constantly doing stuff with those receivers or spending time together outside of when their meeting time is. And Kelsey Pope even said, sometimes, our room, we stay like longer than pretty much anyone. And sometimes we'll be there kind of late. And the guys will be like, hey, coach, man, we got to go. We got dinner with Joey Aguilar. So he understands that and says, hey, just come back, just make sure you get your work in afterwards. So he loves that aspect of it. And they've been good through the first 2 games. And, no interceptions. That was one of the big topics. You mentioned it, what Roman Harper said. The completion percentage has been good. He was the highest rated quarterback according to Pro Football Focus last week. Now, granted, they're playing East Tennessee State. I get it. Yeah. But there's plenty of other quarterbacks that have played in those non-conference games or FCS games or against air that aren't doing as well as Joey Aguilar has in the first 2 weeks. So it's very positive what we've seen. Obviously, it elevates so much greater this week. But considering all the work he did, and then they're building that relationship and that chemistry, especially with his starters, couldn't have gone any better to get to this big jump in Georgia.
I agree. Dudley, man, tell us where you are. That's not Hardy, Arkansas.
No, this is Colorado, and this is where
Brenda was right.
My future son-in-law asked our beautiful daughter Camille to marry him last week. Why don't you set a curve there, man? And but I wanted to show my love, and I love I love to keep it fresh here.
I'm trying to think. There's the maroon bells behind you, I believe. I don't know if that's correct, but
I believe I heard those words. Yes.
Yeah. So, I only spent 37 years there.
I lived in Denver too for about a year and a half.
Did you really? Where'd you live?
I lived in Castle Rock.
Yeah.
I lived in Littleton. I lived in Highlands Ranch. Yeah, all those.
Yeah, I grew up there. That's where Castle Pines golf course is, and that's where they have the BMW now. And I caddied there. So, anyways,
she lives in Arvada right now. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, she is in Arvada.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got to. It's Arvada. Yeah, that's all. That's the hot spot. Don't say Veda; they'll think you're not a local. You guys be like, Arvada.
I love hearing the Midwesterners call it Colorado, Nevada.
No, we don't say that.
No, Midwest. Like Mike Gottfried would always say Colorado. And you're like, Colorado? It's Colorado. I forget Brendan. We all think Brendan grew up on the beach in Florida. He did not. Mm-hmm. He is a mountain man. Wilderness skills, survival training. Seriously.
Courses and rock climbing instructor. That's completely opposite of what you thought. So.
Well, okay, but I mean, he's a mountain man.
I don't like swimming in the ocean sometimes. I feel like I'm on the menu. I still haven't gotten over that thing. So
it's kind of ironic, a little role reversal, because I grew up close to the beach in Clearwater in Tampa Bay, and now I'm near the mountains and the Smokies here. So
brother. Yeah. Are we related somehow?
Probably are.
I'll trade you.
We both work in sports? What's going on?
We got some people watching the show right now in Frisco, Colorado. Jim and Pat McClellan. Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody. They're from Little Rock, and they are some of the most fervent supporters of the University of Arkansas on the planet, Dudley Dawson. You met them last year at the house on Spring Street.
Congrats to your family, by the way, for the the nuptials and all that good stuff.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a great place to be. All right, Dudley, man, this Jake, Talon Green, talk about him. The SEC top to bottom. By the way, Wil Gunter from the Gamecocks, 107.5, the game in Columbia was on right before y'all. They're scalping tickets for the Vandy, South Carolina game coming up this week, $250 to $300. What world do we live in, Dudley? This is great.
No, I'm not sure, but last week Taylor, had a really good game again. Threw a couple interceptions. That I know he wants to get out of the system there, but had over 300 yards passing, 154 rushing. I mean, the dude was pretty good. There were 2 hit and runs in Little Rock last week, at least 2. One was Arkansas and Arkansas State. I'm glad they got to play, but there obviously was a difference in those 2 teams. The other one was my Nissan Rogue, which got hit at a hotel while I was sleeping. So, that's my story of last week. 2 hit and runs in the rock.
Well,
bad things come in threes.
I'm telling you what, guys.
It's this guy right here.
Brace yourself, Dudley.
Brace yourself, man. I didn't touch the foul line when I walked onto the field, so I was all about that.
No superstitions.
Can we just discuss the fact that John Gruden may be the coach of the University of Florida? Can we just have that? Can I just have that moment right now in my head? We can talk about Vandy and South Carolina. That won't mean anything in like 5 weeks. Can we talk about the implosion at the University of Florida right now? Like, it's freaking me out. The sky is falling, and John Gruden may end up being the head coach. I hear that rumor more.
I guess y'all have the early edge because of the loss.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah, and we hear about. I mean, look, it's a long season ahead, but pretty much in week 2 and 3, Vince, you are who you are. This Tennessee team, the defense. The defensive line is going to be good, but give me some names of some guys that are coming on in the first 2 games. And we saw what happened to Etsu the other day. It doesn't matter if you're playing against air and you execute and you're that efficient. That ain't nothing.
First off, can we give some praise to my alma mater, the South Florida Bulls, for what they accomplished? Sorry, Brendan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
props, 100% props.
Yeah.
They were the better coach team. I know that's not news to you guys, but Alex Golis did an awesome job. And there's a ton of Tennessee influence on that team, number of starters, their backup quarterback, a number of assistants. So it is really interesting how there's that connection to my alma mater there. And they got Miami this week in a top 25 matchup. But as far as Tennessee, the interesting thing is they haven't had their 5-star offensive tackle in David Sanders Jr. in their first 2 games. He's almost certainly won the right tackle job in the preseason with the work he's done and what a talent he is in putting on weight. So he hasn't played the first 2 weeks. He got nicked up in practice game week of Syracuse. They held him out. Thought he was going to go this past week. They held him out. And now it's Georgia. So the big question and conversation we've been having this week is, what does Tennessee do? Do you bring back and do you start your 5-star offensive tackle that had won the job? If he is ready to go this Saturday, do you put him in there for the first time against Georgia in that defense? Or do you start the same 5 that has done an awesome job, that has not given up a single sack all season, that has led the running game to be pretty dominant? Do you roll with those guys and then maybe play him a series or 2, get his feet wet, and then kind of see how it goes? That's one of the big question marks. We don't know. We don't know if Sanders is going to be cleared by medical. We don't know if he is going to play and or start. So that's a real interesting dilemma. There's a lot of aspects of that too. If Sanders is good to go, I think that's the better starting 5. I think they'd be better in the interior, which is where Georgia has attacked Tennessee in the past. That's what Georgia does. They always have great tackles, and then they have these really athletic linebackers that can run, that'll blitz in the A-gap, and they kind of blow things up for Tennessee in all the games they played. Obviously, Georgia has the 8-game winning streak. So what Tennessee does to defend that and with their offensive line is a big question. But the offensive line is, Rob, to answer your question, big standouts. All of those guys along the front without David Sanders Jr. They've had to have great cornerback play because Tennessee is going to be without their 2 starting corners in this game against Georgia. Jermon McCoy, the projected first-round pick, has been out. He hasn't debuted this season, coming off of the ACL in the offseason. And then they lost Ricky Gibson, who is ascending into closer to the level of Jermon McCoy with the way he came on in the offseason from last year. He went down after 19 plays in the Syracuse game. So they've needed Colton Hood, a Colorado transfer, who's been awesome, had a scoop and score against Syracuse. And then a true freshman, Ty Redmond, has been awesome. Bunch of pass breakups, looks and has played much more mature than his age. And then they still have a little bit of depth at that position. But without your starting corners, that can be a little dicey. They've also been down a couple of defensive linemen and starter Jackson Moy, Tyree Weathersby, a defensive end. He didn't play last game. And then David Hobbs still hasn't played he's a former 5-star that was the number 3 tackle among them. Yeah. So who comes back this week? That's a TBD, but they've had a lot of their young defensive linemen play well also. And then the wide receivers have done a nice job. They've settled in on a top 3. The other guys haven't played much. So those would be just a few. And by the way, you mentioned the running game with Mizzou. They have a 3 running back stable at Tennessee that if you go 3 deep, to me, it's hard to find a better trio in this league than what Tennessee has in Star Thomas, in Peyton Lewis, and in Deshaun Bishop. They've been outstanding the first 2 games.
Yeah, and if you've got depth in the running back room, Dudley, we all know what that can mean, but that stat, you're 17% more likely to win if you can be run heavy, even though everybody thinks it's all about the passing. Dudley, you got to go down to the Grove to Oxford Saturday. Ellis Johnson on this show Monday with Pete Cordelli and Dave Bartu said, I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas doesn't go down there and beat Ole Miss. What are your thoughts?
The one thing I know is it's always a high-scoring game in Oxford. Sometimes one team scores a lot up here when they play Fayetteville, but it's always seemingly an offensive firework thing down there. I think that's going to be the way it is again. I'm interested to see who protects the ball better. Austin Simmons came out early last week, had a couple of interceptions. But then after that, he protected the ball pretty well, and they obviously won at Kentucky. Same way with Taylor Green. He's got to protect the ball. It hadn't been an issue yet in these first two games because they were playing overmatched foes. If it's not even, it's pretty close to it with these two teams this weekend. And so I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. The first night game for Arkansas this year, and it's always exciting in Oxford.
Well, it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. And I look at Arkansas defensively. In the first quarter of both games, Austin Simmons has had 2 picks. Now, that's a trend. There's something that defensive coaches are seeing about him. And he's 19. He's already graduated. He's working on a master's. What does Arkansas need to do early on to get this win?
I think you just mentioned they got to get turnovers early. I think that a good start down there will help them a lot. Speaking of former Tennessee guys, Xavier Sorey, 14 tackles last week, was a big guy in that win over Arkansas State, especially early on in harassing Arkansas State's quarterback, Jalen Rayner. And, I think that, there is both of these teams, I think this could be a crossroads for them this season. You get this win, man, the narrative changes a little bit. You lose it, and you're going to fall back on one that because the schedule isn't getting any easier for Arkansas after this. You can get, go to Memphis. You can say, I'll see who's better, Memphis or Ole Miss, as we go along this season. But then in 2 weeks, you've got Notre Dame up here when every recruit in every sport is coming that weekend as they try to do the best they can and getting maximum coverage and all that to these recruits.
Yeah, you think Notre Dame's not a big deal? Just bring them to town. It's just insane. I mean, we go to Mass, the priest in the homily will always talk about, well, the Irish, great one yesterday. You're like, but I digress. You're like, you're not going to tell the priest what to say. Vince, you know what I'm talking about. Vince, I love the checkerboard orange and white background. All right. Cousin Mark Ham this weekend's got our friend Jeff Boone and Thomas Boone. They're all coming up. He's cooking. He's already got the brisket going. You've got to go this weekend to Cousin Mark Ham's, Audrey's cousin, like her brother. I'm going to give you his number. I want you to go over there and see him. And he's right up there by that guy holding the torch, okay? That guy's got really strong arms, Dudley. He keeps that torch going. But they've got brisket going. They've got ribs. They got open bar. Vince, I suggest you at least stop by for a snack or two. When Roman Harper's up there for SEC Nation, he's been coming up there since 2022. Audrey and I saw him. He goes, I'm down with that. Roman is one of the nicest people, just like y'all are. I mean, he's like, hey, man, I'll help anybody because people help me. Checkerboard orange and white. You got to break the streak. I was up there when you beat Alabama in 22. That was just to watch my wife tear up when they ran through the tee before the game. You think this stuff doesn't matter, Vince? You get the passion. Dudley, you get it. I don't know who's got the better background today, though. Who gets the award? I'm just going to call it a jump ball, but how important is this game to the future of Tennessee football? It's got to be a crowd of 105 plus.
Around 102. But look, there'll be so many more that don't have tickets that'll be around Knoxville and Neyland and downtown around campus. And look, it's 8 games. The last time Tennessee beat Georgia anywhere was the Hail Mary throw from Dobbs to Juwan Jennings in one of the craziest games you'll ever see in the ending. And Georgia scored a go-ahead touchdown with 10 seconds to go, and somehow Tennessee gets in position in 6 seconds to throw a Hail Mary, and then they get it with Butch Jones as your coach.
Yeah.
It was insane, and that was Kirby Smart's first year, and Tennessee hadn't beaten him since. Not many people have, though. That's the thing. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's been a long time in Knoxville as well, the last time Tennessee won against Georgia. So, look, last year was the closest it's been at 14 points. All of them, double digits. That's it in that streak. And the thing is that Georgia was coming off of a loss to Ole Miss last year. And you thought they were vulnerable. This is the year we can get Georgia.
Yep.
And then Georgia played a lot better, especially in the second half when it was a 14-14 game at the half. Now this year, people were like, man, the quarterback, and, they barely beat Austin Peay, and they're not as talented, and, their depth in the NIL has gone away, all those kind of things. But we've seen this before with teams that look vulnerable coming into a matchup. You think this is the year we're going to get them, and then they play a lot better. It's life in the SEC. Dudley knows as well. It can completely change week to week. And I was looking at the star ratings. 24/7 does the talent rankings. Georgia still is number one in talent on the roster. 13 5 stars, 57 4 stars. Tennessee is 16th, 4 5 stars, 43 4 stars. You may not have heard some of those names, but there's still a lot of talent there. So and it's crazy, the line is only 3.5. I cannot remember a line that close. All Vegas Insider has like all the big lines, and it's either 3.5 or 4. So crazy that a lot of the public money, I think, is going Tennessee's way right now. I bet a lot of analysts will pick Tennessee too.
Well,
I'm supposed to be a recruiting guy, and I look at the rankings and do my part to try to help steer them. But I think that analysis he just had there, what's on your roster, especially these days. Sure, you can have a nice one recruiting class, but what's left? And Rob, I've talked all along about 1 to 42 or 44, and then 44 to 85. Mm-hmm. I think that is a true measure of what you've got in your program when you do it that way, not just say, well, you had number 13 class this year. What's left? Because the transfer portal and all that, I want to know what's left on the team.
Yeah, and Jordan Davis Hill was on yesterday. 24/7 Sports covers Georgia. Georgia refers to that 2016 game when Juwan Jennings caught that touchdown pass, the Hail Mary at the end. You remember in 2001, David Green completed the pass to Michael Haynes in the end zone in Knoxville. We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot. We broke your nose. You know what Georgia calls the game in 2016? The Dobnail boot. Larry Munson was already up in the sky calling games. They call it the Dobnail boot. I'd never heard that before. This is a big-time rivalry. This is what I love about college football. You know what? You go to these games. Now there'll be 102,000 standing, and they will come to their feet as the Tennessee Pride of the Southland Marching Band forms that giant T. And Tennessee comes running on the field. There'll be 60 or 70,000 outside the stadium watching in those fancy tents on the color TVs, all liquored up, eating food. These events now are like dead shows, 3 or 4 days, going and panic shows or whatever. They're getting bigger, and we keep having all these people trying to tell us college football is ruined. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's some things we got to fix. But the excitement level, $250 tickets for a Vandy, South Carolina game, hey, I'm down with that, as Roman Harper would say.
And Rob, how do guys handle the moment? Joey Aguilar hasn't been in an SEC atmosphere like that. It'll be his SEC.
No.
Gunner Stockton hasn't been in an SEC road game as the starting quarterback for Georgia. Like, there's so many new players that some of them will rise up and others will get nervous and make mistakes. That's just so fascinating to see how everybody reacts to that situation with it being such a big game. And Checker kneeling too. What you see in the background, they're doing that for this game also.
Oh man, I tell you what, Lulu and Junior are going to be there before they go to Shoney's having a big time. There's nothing like the fans. Dudley, you talk about, well, who cares? It's all about the TV money. If you had that stadium with 24,000 people in there, or you had Reynolds Razorback Stadium with 25,000, it would not be the same. You know that, Dudley. Talk about what.
I've seen it at St. Louis Cardinal games this year. I mean, there's no attendance, whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, the reason I'm picking Ole Miss this weekend is because they're at home. If it was here at Arkansas, there'd be a great crowd. I mean, they've had so many great games down at the fourth and 25 game. A lot of people remember the Hunter He from Hunter Henry, but what they forget is the late great Alex Collins. Caught that and got the first down. That was a heck of a play. They've had 7 overtime games there. They've had one of those in Tennessee too. But it's always been entertaining. I don't ever want to miss an Arkansas Ole Miss game. There are a lot of games I like on the schedule, but usually this is the most entertaining. And I've known Coach Kiffin since he was here as a baby with his dad Monty when he was a coach here.
Yep.
And it's always interesting to see what he's going to say during the week, no matter who the team is.
Yeah. Sorry to the gamblers out there, Vince.
Yeah, for sure. And I would probably, like Dudley said, lean towards the over. And 7 points is an interesting line, 7.5, wherever. But yeah, the over typically in that kind of game. And you mentioned Austin Simmons. He's thrown 2 picks in each of his first 2 games. 2 picks in the opener as well. And they're early, and then like Dudley said, it kind of settle in after that. But man, Ole Miss can run the rock too.
Is that you got a dog named Daphne? We've got a dog named Daphne. That's pretty cool. Remember, I think my wife named it after Daphne from the old Frasier show.
Okay. Yeah, people ask me if that's the case for mine. I rescued mine, and she had that name. And I just didn't
okay. Yeah.
So.
Or she could have named it after Daphne, Alabama. We have a lot of people watching down there in Baldwin County, Alabama, on the Foley Beach Express. Rich Gray, my friend, who gets on his computer early in the morning and then heads to the beach to think. I love it. But, hey, we got a lot of people watching, and I'm going to tell you something. We got a lot of expats and military people that watch around the world. We appreciate what you do, all of you around the world. If you ever out traveling abroad and you see some of our servicemen and servicewomen, take your card out and just buy them a couple of rounds as a thank you, as long as they're not on duty. I just got to preface that. All right. So, guys, we got about 8 minutes to go. What are some stories, and you guys are both true grit journalists, what are some stories that you're seeing? Again, the news at 10 is only 30 minutes, 22 minutes of content. What are some stories either one of y'all are seeing we need to be paying attention to that are going to matter?
The most important thing to me that happened last week and is going to hopefully happen on October 1st is the one recruiting portal, one transfer portal, January 2nd to January 10th. Instead of having them during the bowl game practices and people all over the place and coaches having to divide their attention, they still have to pay attention to it. But I, as a recruiting writer, someone who follows recruiting, I've added a recruiting podcaster to it, I guess. The fact that you won't be having guys leave your team after this happens, or I like the one set. I believe that's the biggest thing that happened last week. They can ratify it October 1st, and I'm just thrilled for that because people bounce around. I mean, you had guys in and out of the transfer portal, in and out of going different places. In early December last year, is teams were trying to get ready for bowl games.
Yeah, Vince.
No, I love that too. And remember, Kirby Smart was the one saying, hey, you guys are talking about playoffs and all this when they were in Destiny. He's like, the most important thing is this portal thing. Or what are we going to do with it? We're going to go to 1. Here's what I think it should be. And really, it's exactly what he said. And that's in January. There's no perfect place for it. But in January, 10 days, that's it. We had Danny White on the show this morning. I asked him about the one portal, and he said we'll see if there's any sort of, he said I'm pro, student athletes being able to transfer, but will there be something else that comes with that to sort of limit that the movement, that kind of thing. Look, players are still going to hit the portal. They're publicly, so they're not officially in the portal, but you're going to see guys still declare on social media, hey, I'm entering the transfer portal, or somebody's going to report them and then quit on their team, or do it in the offseason and say, I'm going to go in the portal when it opens. And then they're just publicly there without them being officially there. So I don't think they're going to totally get away from it, but I do like that. One other thing on this Tennessee-Georgia matchup real quick is Georgia's injuries too. Georgia had a couple offensive linemen down in that Austin P game. Do they get those back? And remember, for that Tennessee-Georgia game, top 25 matchup, Arkansas and Ole Miss, all these SEC matchups, everything. Wednesday night for the SEC games, that's when we get the availability report.
Yeah.
And that's when we can see, because Josh Heupel's not talking injuries. He just said you can refer to the availability report.
Yeah.
I think all the coaches are kind of going that route, but that'll be tonight. That's something else to look for the injury status of guys going into SEC games.
Yeah. And I do think this too. The polls, we all saw also the AP poll. We got to talk about this. You know, some of these people on here are living brain donors that vote, but they sway how the playoff committee, they see that. But I do like the fact that this year they're not going to punish you for playing tough non-conference opponents. If Arkansas were to lose to Notre Dame, it's not going to kill them. If they beat them, it'll do nothing but help them. And I think Tennessee playing Syracuse in that first game was a really good move. And it certainly got the confidence of Joey Aguilar up.
Yeah, unfortunately, Syracuse did not impress very many people in what they did with UConn last week. So we'll see what they do with the rest of their season. But, you know, Texas A&M has Notre Dame this week too. So that could be very much a benefit for them also.
It's great stuff. Inside Arkansas, Dudley Dawson. He's at Inside Arkansas. All of you follow him. Blessed to have him as our friend. Same thing with you, Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville. Hope the hip is recovering well. And
you're moving around a lot better. I don't see the pain that I've seen there.
and both of y'all, keep these backgrounds. They're freaking awesome. I mean, checkerboard, orange and white. And Dudley lives in the stadium, but he's not there this week because Arkansas is on the road. Do you still get to live there, though, when the Hogs play on the road?
Yeah. My luxury box is right next to John Tyson's. Yeah.
I got you. Chicken fingers for everyone. Y'all take care. Blessed to have you. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
All right. Let's say something about Landers Ford, folks. Landers Ford at Poplar and Houston Levy, where Collierville and Germantown come together. They are open every day of the week except Sunday, where the day means more than the dollar. They're great folks out there. Brad Bellamy, the general manager, they're there to help you. Yes, they're a business, but they will help you in every way humanly possible. Kent Ritchie, Don Kitchens, Brad Bellamy, the whole crew, strength in numbers. Discover the strength of huge savings on a massive selection of new models. They're top 5 in the nation in sales of Ford Expeditions. The Broncos. Those Broncos are so good looking. Ladies, if you want a robin egg blue Bronco with the red Ford across the front, retro, they've got them with the white wall tires. They're so good looking. These Ford Expeditions, I got to tell you, it's one of the best looking SUVs that's ever been made. And the F-150 series, number 1 selling truck in America forever. Okay, LandersFord.com, LandersFordMemphis.com. Get started. Give them a call. Also around the street from Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. And we got these horses right here for the grandchildren. They sell stuff like this at Hewlett and Dunn. Great looking stuff. They've also got over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots. They've got the new clothes for the fall and the winter coming in. Man, good looking jackets from Pendleton, Schaefer, Barber, men's and women's Barber, men's and women's Filson, the Filson luggage, the STS luggage, Duck Camp, Marshwear. Wow, great looking polymer clay earring. They got a selection of earrings there that J.M. Huffman's mom makes that are fantastic. Women's dresses, purses, bags, boots, everything. HewlettandDunn.com on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Look, do yourself a favor. Go a little extra. Get out there. You'll love them. Charles Hall, the whole staff out there, Raven, JM, they're the best. Hey, Rumble Boxing, Union and McLean. How you fight is how you live. Never stop moving. Open every day of the week, 5:30 in the morning, depends on the weekends. 48 spots in those classes. And the lights out gummies, man, they work. Take them 30 minutes before you go night-night. They've got pain lotions. They've got them all. the Pro Athletes Hemp Association. 25% off Sidelines, promo code Sidelines. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Go out, make something great happen. See you tomorrow.